At my mother's will reading, my stepfather stood up and said, "She gets nothing." But then, the lawyer burst out laughing, because my mom played him before she died. My name is Ella. I'm 23 years old. My mom was everything to me. She wasn't just my mother, she was my best friend. We laughed together, we cooked together, and we dreamed together. It had always been just the two of us, until she met Ronald. Ronald was charming at first. He smiled a lot, brought her flowers, and made her feel young again. But the moment they got married, things started to change. For the worse. Ronald didn't like me. He never said it straight, but I could feel it in the way he looked at me, like I was in the way. Like I didn't belong. Then came Amanda. His daughter. My stepsister. Amanda was cold and rude. She'd call me names when no one was looking. She used to walk into my room without knocking and take my clothes. When I told Mom, Amanda always cried and said, "I was just borrowing them." And Ronald would defend her. "You're too sensitive, Ella," he'd say. "Stop being jealous." I tried to stay quiet. I tried to keep the peace for Mom's sake. But I never forgot. Then last year, Mom got sick. Started with small things. She would forget where she put her phone. Then she started coughing more. Then the weight loss. I begged her to go to the hospital. She did. Stage 4 cancer. Felt like the air left my body. Ronald barely reacted. He nodded once and asked the doctor, "So how much time does she have?" "Not we. Do she?" Even when Mom was sick, I took care of her. I fed her soup, helped her bathe, stayed up late just to hold her hand when the pain got too bad. Ronald. He started locking himself in the study with Amanda. I once walked by and heard them whispering about assets and papers, and when it's over. I should have said something then. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. Like always. Until the night before Mom died. She called me to her room. Her voice was weak, but her eyes were sharp. "Ella," she whispered. "Promise me something." I nodded, tears in my eyes. "Don't let them take what's yours." I didn't understand at the time. I just cried and held her hand. She smiled faintly and placed something in my palm. It was her gold heart-shaped necklace. The one she wore every day since I was born. "This is yours," she said. "Always." She died the next morning. I couldn't breathe. My world fell apart. At the funeral, Ronald gave a fake speech about his beloved wife. Amanda wore black but kept checking her nails. I stood alone. No one saw my pain. 2 weeks later, Ronald called for a family meeting. He said the lawyer would be reading Mom's will. I went in quietly, wearing Mom's necklace. Ronald and Amanda were already sitting with smug smiles. Ronald tapped his pen on the table like he owned the place. Amanda scrolled on her phone. The lawyer walked in with a thick folder. He looked tired but calm. "All right," he said. "Let's begin." But before he could say anything, Ronald stood up, clearing his throat. "I want to make something very clear," he said loudly. "My wife and I discussed everything before she passed. And we've decided Ella will not receive anything." The room fell silent. I blinked. My hands went cold. "What?" I whispered. Ronald looked straight at me. "You didn't contribute. You didn't work. Your mother understood that. So the house, the accounts, and everything else will go to me and Amanda." Amanda smirked. "Blood matters, Ella. You're not really family." I felt something break inside me. But before I could speak, the lawyer let out a sound. It was a laugh. Quiet at first, then louder. He set the folder down and folded his hands on the desk, smiling. "Oh wow," he said, looking straight at Ronald. "You really thought you were still in charge." Ronald's face changed. "What are you talking about?" he snapped. The lawyer opened the folder slowly. "Your wife," he said calmly, "updated her will 3 weeks before her death. She removed you as executor. She saw something coming." Amanda looked confused. "What's an executor?" The lawyer ignored her. "In fact," he said, turning to me, "everything your mother owned, every single thing, is now under Ella's name. That includes the house, the cars, her business shares, And even the beach property. Ronald's mouth fell open. No, he growled. That's not possible. I was there. I helped write the first one. The lawyer slid a document across the table. She changed it. Legally. Witnessed. Filed. He smiled wider. She even left a note. If Ronald tries anything funny, show him this copy first. Gasp. Amanda stood up. This is fake. But the lawyer wasn't done. He pulled out something else from his bag. A USB drive. She also gave me this, he said. It's a recording. Would you like to hear it? Ronald's face turned red. Amanda grabbed her dad's arm. I didn't know what was on that drive yet. But I knew one thing for sure. My mom may have died. But she left behind something stronger than money. She left me the truth. I didn't speak. Couldn't. I just stared at the lawyer as he held up the small USB stick like it was a golden ticket. Ronald's face was turning darker and darker, like a volcano getting ready to explode. Amanda looked scared now. What's on the recording? She asked. The lawyer smiled, calm as ever. I'll let it speak for itself. He plugged the USB into his laptop. The room went quiet. You could hear the ticking of the wall clock. Then my mother's voice came through the speakers. Weak, but firm. If you're hearing this, I'm no longer here. Ronald, I knew what you were planning. I heard you talking on the phone at night when you thought I was asleep. You said you'd change everything once I was gone. You said Ella didn't deserve anything. But let me tell you something. He paused. I could hear her breath shaking. Ella is my heart. She's the one who cared for me. She's the one who loved me when I was dying. And she will have everything I built. You get nothing. Ronald slammed his hand on the table. This is edited. This is a setup. The lawyer didn't even flinch. She recorded this in front of a notary and 2 witnesses, he said. It's verified. You can scream all you want, but the law won't change. Amanda stood up and shouted. This is wrong. You're stealing from us. I finally found my voice. You tried to erase me, I said quietly. But my mom made sure I couldn't be erased. Ronald leaned over the table and growled. I fed you. Paid your school fees. You lived under my roof. No, I said. She paid for everything. You just smiled in the pictures. The lawyer stood. We're done here. Ella, the house is yours. I'll file everything this afternoon. Ronald pointed his finger at me. You'll regret this. The lawyer didn't even look at him. Oh, one more thing. According to the will, you and Amanda have exactly 30 days to vacate the property. After that, legal action will be taken. Amanda gasped. You're kicking us out. I stood up slowly. My hands weren't shaking anymore. No, I said. She is. I walked out of that office feeling like I could breathe for the first time in weeks. The necklace around my neck felt warm, like Mom was right there with me. Back at the house, everything looked the same, but it felt different. This time when I walked through the front door, it felt like home. Ronald and Amanda were still living there for now. But they avoided me. They stayed in their rooms and whispered when I walked by. I didn't care. Had the papers. Had the keys. Had the power. And Mom had left me more than a house. She left me proof. That week, I met with the family lawyer privately. He gave me copies of every document Mom signed before her death. There were bank account statements, investment shares, even stocks in her name. Ronald had tried to hide them. He failed. The lawyer smiled as he handed me a thick brown envelope. She made me promise to protect you, he said. I clutched it like it was treasure. 'Cause to me it was. That night, Amanda tried to talk to me. She came to my door, eyes red. Ella, she said, can we talk? I stared at her. She wasn't crying for me. She was crying for herself. I didn't know Dad was going to do all that, she said. I was just angry. I didn't mean to hurt you. You called me a burden at the funeral, I said. You laughed when he said I'd get nothing. She blinked. I didn't mean it like that. Save it, Amanda. Close the door. A few days later, I walked into Mom's old room. It still smelled like her, lavender and peppermint. I sat on her bed, holding the necklace. And for the first time since the funeral, I let myself cry. Not because I was weak, but because I was strong enough now to feel everything. Mom had trusted me. She knew what Ronald was capable of. And she made a plan before she died. She left me ready. Ronald, on the other hand, wasn't ready for any of this. He tried to get his own lawyer. He tried to claim Mom was confused when she signed the new will. He tried to say I brainwashed her. But Mom had covered every step. Her documents were signed, dated, and witnessed. Her voice recording had 2 backup copies stored with the court. Ronald had no case. Then came the final blow. The lawyer showed me another file. Your mom wanted you to have this last. It was a handwritten letter. I opened it with trembling hands. My sweet Ella, if you're reading this, I'm gone. But I want you to know I saw everything. I saw how Ronald treated you. I saw how Amanda tried to make you feel small. I was too weak to stop it while I was alive. But I made sure to stop it after. You are the best thing I ever did. I'm so proud of you. Own everything they tried to steal. With love. I held that letter to my chest and whispered, I will, Mom. I promise. And for the first time in a long time, smiled. It was quiet in the house. Too quiet. Ronald and Amanda didn't speak to me much after the lawyer's visit. No more yelling. No more smug smiles. No more fake kindness. Just silence. Cold, heavy silence. And that was fine with me. I didn't need their words. I had my mother's letter. I had the keys to the house. I had the truth. But even though I had won legally, Ronald wasn't done trying to bring me down. The next day, I got a letter from his lawyer. It said Ronald was challenging the will. He claimed my mother wasn't in her right mind when she changed it. He wanted a full court hearing. I wasn't scared, because my mom had thought of everything. Her doctor had signed a mental capacity form just 3 days before she updated the will. She was sick, yes, but her mind was clear. The papers were solid. The lawyer had it all. Still, Ronald didn't give up. He started sneaking around the house again. I'd hear footsteps late at night. Drawers opening. Cabinets shutting. I stayed locked in my room. I knew he was searching for something. But whatever he was looking for, he wouldn't find it. Because Mom had already given me the most powerful thing. Silence. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I just let him destroy himself. A week later, I found a message online. Amanda had posted it. It said, my stepsister is a gold digger. She waited for our mom to die just to take the house. She didn't even cry at the funeral. The post had a picture of me walking out of the lawyer's office. And hundreds of comments. I didn't reply. Instead, I met with Mom's lawyer again. He filed for a defamation warning. Amanda took the post down 2 hours later. Ronald got worse. I think he was losing control and he knew it. He used to be the man who called the shots. Who acted like king of the house. Now he couldn't even afford to fix his broken watch. That watch used to shine on his wrist at every family event. Now it looked like his life, cracked and ticking. One morning I walked into the kitchen. Amanda was crying. They had just gotten a call. Ronald's business partner had pulled out of a deal. Apparently, news was spreading. People were hearing about the legal battle. His name was getting dirty. They were losing money. Ronald slammed his cup on the counter. This is your fault, he shouted at me. I just looked at him. You lost the money. You lost the house. And now you're losing your name, I said. I didn't do that. You did. He stormed out. Amanda followed. I went to my room and closed the door. And I breathed. That afternoon I got curious. Something had been nagging at me, Mom's room. I hadn't been back in there since the day I found the letter. So I opened the door quietly and stepped inside. The sunlight hit the bed, soft and golden. Her favorite pillow still smelled like lavender. I sat at her desk, ran my fingers over the surface. Then I noticed something odd. The drawer didn't slide in all the way. There was a tiny gap in the back. I pulled it out completely and there it was. False bottom. I pried it open. Inside was another envelope. With my name on it. I opened it, heart pounding. It was another letter. I had to hide this one. I don't know how much Ronald knows. But just in case, I want you to know the full truth. Years ago, Ronald forged my signature on some legal papers. I only found out when I got sick. He had tried to move some of my business assets into Amanda's name without telling me. I reversed everything, quietly. But I never told him I knew. I was afraid. But I'm not afraid anymore. These copies show what he did. Use them only if you need to. And remember, you are stronger than silence. Love. Inside the envelope were photocopies of the forged documents, and a copy of the reversal papers signed by Mom. My hands were shaking. She had known everything. Every move. Every lie. She had built a silent case from the grave. I took the papers to the family lawyer the next day. He reviewed them eyes wide. This is fraud, he whispered. Ronald can go to prison for this. I nodded slowly. Let's do it. We filed the report. Within a week, the police called Ronald in for questioning. Amanda tried to beg me to stop. He's still your stepdad, she cried. He made mistakes, yes, but... I shook my head. No, he made choices. And now he gets the results. She screamed at me. She called me names, said I was evil. But I stayed silent. Because silence isn't weakness. It's power. 2 days later the news broke. Businessman Ronald Stevens under investigation for forgery and fraud. His face was on the front page of the local paper. The man who once told me I was nothing was now the one people were laughing at. And I didn't have to lift a finger. Just the truth. And a mother's love written on paper. The house felt quiet again. But this time, it was a peaceful quiet. Ronald had stopped looking me in the eye. Amanda stopped talking completely. The court date for Ronald's fraud case was coming closer, and the walls were closing in on him. And me. I had stopped being afraid. One evening I walked around the house, thinking about Mom. I missed her voice, her laughter, even her humming in the kitchen. I went into her bedroom one more time, just to sit, just to feel close to her. But then I saw something strange. A small wooden box I hadn't noticed before. Hidden behind her closet mirror. It looked old, worn. I opened it slowly. Inside were tiny keys, a sealed envelope, and a note that said, "If anything ever happens to me, open the drawer in my sewing table." Froze. The sewing table was in the storage room, covered in dust, forgotten. I ran downstairs, heart racing. I found the sewing table behind a pile of boxes. I pulled everything away and used one of the tiny keys. Click. The drawer slid open. My breath caught in my throat. Inside were 4 envelopes, each with a name. One for Ronald, one for Amanda, one for me, and one labeled, "To the court, only if necessary." Open mine first. It said, "If you found this, it means everything is out in the open. But I want you to know there's more to the story. Ronald didn't just try to steal from me. He tried to erase you. When you were 16. He secretly filed papers to have you removed as my legal next of kin. He wanted Amanda to be my only heir." I stopped it. "But I never told you because I didn't want you to grow up afraid. I only wanted you to grow up strong. Now you know the truth. Use these letters however you wish. Trust you. Love." Tears ran down my cheeks. I was shaking. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't crazy. He had been planning this for years. I opened the envelope labeled "To the court." It contained official copies of the fake documents, a timeline of events, and a signed witness statement from Mom's best friend. She had prepared everything. This wasn't just a will. It was a blueprint for justice. I gave the court letter to the family lawyer. He was stunned. "With this," he said, "Ronald won't just be investigated. He'll be convicted." He nodded. "Do it. Court day came quickly. I walked in wearing Mom's necklace. Ronald sat at the defendant's table, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Amanda sat behind him, arms crossed, eyes cold. The judge listened quietly as my lawyer explained everything. The forged documents, the attempted removal of next of kin, the fake will, the defamation, the threats, everything. Then the judge opened the envelope labeled "To the Court." Silence filled the room. After a long moment, the judge looked up. "Mr. Stevens, you are officially being charged with fraud, attempted identity alteration, and will tampering." Ronald jumped to his feet. "This is a lie," he shouted. "She's a liar. She poisoned her mother's mind." The judge banged the gavel. "Enough. One more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt of court." Amanda started crying. I didn't blink. That night I stood alone in the garden. The stars were out. I looked up and whispered, "You knew, Mom. You knew all of it. And you still protected me." The wind blew gently. Felt like a hug. The next day, the newspapers printed the story. Businessman found guilty of forgery in late wife's will. Daughter wins legal battle. Everyone saw it. Ronald's business partners dropped him. Amanda moved out of the house with nothing but a suitcase. She didn't say goodbye. I didn't expect her to. I walked through the empty halls of the house the next morning. It was mine now. Fully. The photos on the walls. The memories in every corner. The scent of Mom's perfume still faint in her room. I didn't feel broken anymore. Felt whole. And stronger than I ever imagined. I went back to the sewing table one last time and put all the letters back in the drawer. I locked it. Then I smiled. Because the story wasn't just about what they tried to take from me. It was about what I chose to protect. My voice, my peace, and my mother's legacy. 1 year later, everything had changed. The house was quiet, but it wasn't empty anymore. It was peaceful. I painted the living room the color Mom always wanted. Soft yellow. Her garden was blooming again. I even opened her favorite corner shop downtown and renamed it Ella's Keepsakes. A place filled with warmth, photos, handmade jewelry, and everything that reminded me of her. People came in and said the shop felt like home. Just like Mom did. Ronald was in prison. 3 years sentence for fraud, forgery, and will tampering. When the verdict came down, he didn't look at me. I didn't go to the sentencing. I didn't need to. Amanda. She got a job at a gas station 2 towns away. Someone sent me a picture of her working behind the counter. She used to call me a burden. Now she was folding uniforms in a plastic bag with her name tag hanging crooked. Sometimes people ask me, "Ella, do you feel bad for what happened to them?" And my answer is simple. Well, they had choices. They chose greed. They chose lies. They chose to treat me like I didn't matter. And when my mother, the one person who loved me with her whole heart, left this world, they tried to erase me. But they forgot something important. She left me stronger than they ever expected. One afternoon, I was organizing old letters in the attic when I found something. An old music box. It was dusty and faded, but still worked. I opened it and heard the soft melody she used to hum. Inside was one final folded paper. It was tiny, almost torn at the edge. In my mom's handwriting it said, "You are the only thing in this world I ever got right." That's when I knew. I didn't just win. I healed. I still wear the necklace every day. Not because it's gold, but because it's hers. It's proof that love, when it's real, leaves behind more than pain. It leaves behind power. Not the loud kind. Quiet kind. The steady kind. The kind that doesn't scream, but stays. One day, as I locked up the shop, a little girl walked by with her mother. She pointed at the window where Mom's old quote hung in a frame. "They can take things from you, but they can't take who you are, unless you hand it over." The little girl said, "That's a strong lady who wrote that." Smiled. "She was the strongest," I whispered. I got home and walked through the house. The light was soft, the air warm. I stood in the middle of the living room and looked around. This was mine now. Not because of money, But because I protected something they tried to destroy. Myself. They wanted the house. They wanted the cars. They wanted the accounts.